The ancient signal. Commander Ilara Voss stared at the holographic display floating above the bridge of the astral seeker, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. The quantum readings couldn't be right. After 2 decades commanding the Galactic Concordat's most advanced research vessel, she had never seen anything like this. "Run the analysis again," she ordered, her 4 arms moving in the precise gestures of her species' formal command language. Her second, Science Officer Trell, a crystalline being whose body refracted the blue light of the bridge, shifted nervously. "This is the 5th analysis, Commander. The results are consistent. The signal originates from the quarantine zone in Sector 7. Sector 7. Even mentioning it sent a chill through the bridge crew. Every spacefaring species knew of it. The forbidden sector where Earth, birthplace of humans, had been sealed away 4,000 years ago. The signal pattern matches nothing in our database," Trell continued, "but its quantum signature shows technological principles that shouldn't be possible for another millennium of development." Ilara's skin darkened with concern. "And the timing is hardly coincidental." The timing. That was the true cause for alarm. For 6 months, the galaxy had faced an existential threat unlike any in recorded history. The void harvesters had appeared from the depths of intergalactic space, massive organic mechanical entities that consumed entire star systems, leaving only twisted space-time in their wake. 17 civilizations had already fallen, billions of lives extinguished as though they had never existed. The combined fleets of the Galactic Concordat, an alliance of 43 spacefaring species, had barely managed to slow the harvesters' advance. Their adaptive biology incorporated any weapon used against them, growing stronger with each encounter. "Commander," Communications Specialist Nix chittered from her station, mandibles clicking with excitement. "The signal. It's changing." On the main view screen, the quantum patterns shifted, organizing themselves into a structured transmission. It was a language no one had heard in 4 millennia, yet somehow the ship's translation systems recognized it instantly. "To all sentient species of the Milky Way galaxy, we have awakened. Earth stands ready. The harvesters have returned. As we knew they would, we have prepared. Coordinates follow for safe harbor and alliance discussion. We await your representatives." Silence engulfed the bridge. Earth, humans, the species that had appeared suddenly on the galactic stage, fought with unparalleled ferocity in the first Harvester War, and then vanished completely, sealing their home system behind quantum barriers that no technology had ever penetrated. "Commander," Strategic Officer Kulvak grumbled, his massive reptilian form tensing. "The Concordat Council must be informed immediately." Ilara nodded. "Set course for Earth. We'll transmit to the Council en route." Earth. Trell's crystalline form pulsed with shock. "The quarantine protocols are irrelevant now," Ilara cut in. "If humans have truly returned, the Concordat needs to know why, and whether they represent our salvation or another threat." As the astral seeker altered course, Ilara studied the ancient records of humanity. Most information had been classified after their disappearance, but certain facts remained in public archives. Humans had emerged from their home system 4,200 years ago. Their technology already advanced enough for faster-than-light travel. Within a century, they had established colonies throughout what was now known as Sector 7. Unlike most species who gradually joined the galactic community, humans had kept to themselves, sharing little and observing much. Then the harvesters had appeared for the first time. Dozens of civilizations fell before the alliance of that era even understood what they faced. But humans had recognized the threat immediately, mobilizing their entire civilization for war with an efficiency that shocked their allies. For 50 years, humans had led the fight, developing weapons and strategies that seemed impossible. Then, when victory seemed within reach, they had withdrawn completely. Earth and all human colonies enacted massive quantum barriers, cutting themselves off from the galaxy. The harvesters, greatly diminished, had retreated to the void between galaxies. Until now. 3 days later, the astral seeker approached the coordinates provided in the transmission. Where once impenetrable quantum barriers had stood, now a carefully regulated passage allowed their ship to enter Earth's solar system. What they found defied explanation. Earth's solar system had been transformed. Massive structures orbited every planet, their designs unlike anything in known engineering. The sun itself was encased in a partial Dyson swarm that pulsed with energy, and Earth, once a blue-green jewel, now gleamed with metallic structures that covered entire continents. "We're being hailed," Nyx reported, her voice barely a whisper. A figure materialized on their bridge, a holographic projection of extraordinary fidelity. A human female in what appeared to be semi-fluid armor that shifted with her movements. Her eyes held a depth and intensity that made Ilara's skin pale. "Commander Voss," the human said, "I am Admiral Helena Reyes of the Terran Defense Force. Welcome to Earth. Your arrival is well-timed." Ilara struggled to maintain her composure. "You know who I am." "We've been monitoring the galaxy for centuries," Reyes replied with a slight smile. "Your work on quantum resonance theory is particularly impressive." Before Ilara could process this revelation, the human continued. "The Concordat Council is sending a delegation. They'll arrive within 12 hours. In the meantime, would you and your senior officers care to see what humanity has been doing for the past 4 millennia? The shuttle that transported them to Earth's surface was piloted by a human male who introduced himself as Captain Marcus Chen. As they descended through the atmosphere, he explained what they were seeing. When the harvesters first appeared, Chen said, "Our scientists discovered something the Alliance missed. The harvesters weren't just consuming. They were studying, adapting, evolving. Each civilization they destroyed made them stronger, more intelligent. We've observed the same pattern in their current invasion," Trell noted. Chen nodded. "But the pattern isn't natural. There's intelligence behind it, something using the harvesters as tools for galaxy-wide artificial selection." The shuttle passed through clouds and revealed a landscape transformed. Massive geometric structures rose from Earth's surface, some extending into orbit. Between them, gleaming cities housed what sensors indicated was a population of over 20 billion humans. After the First War, Chen continued, our leaders faced a choice. The galaxy believed we had discovered a way to defeat the harvesters permanently. The truth was more complicated. We had discovered their origin, and the intelligence controlling them. We knew they would return, stronger than before. The shuttle landed on a platform extending from a structure that towered 30 kilometers above Earth's surface. As they disembarked, Admiral Reyes greeted them, accompanied by a diverse group of humans in similar adaptive armor. We couldn't beat them permanently with our technology then, Reyes explained as she led them into the structure. And we couldn't convince the Alliance of the true threat without evidence they wouldn't accept. So humanity made a decision. They entered a vast chamber filled with technology that made Ilara's scientific mind real. At its center floated a three-dimensional representation of the galaxy, with pulsing red markers indicating harvester positions. We withdrew completely, Rice continued, sealed ourselves away. Then we transformed our entire civilization with one purpose, to become what would be needed when the harvesters inevitably returned. Your entire species, Ilara whispered, dedicated 4,000 years to preparing for this moment. Not all of us, a new voice interjected. An elderly human approached, his armor subtler than the others. I'm Dr. Elias Wright, Continuity Director. Some human colonies chose different paths. Some went into stasis. Others continued normal development in hidden systems. But Earth became our fortress, our laboratory, and our promise to return when needed most. The holographic galaxy zoomed in on the harvester's current position. They had just consumed another system, their swarm growing larger. The harvesters you face now are exponentially more advanced than those we fought, Rice said gravely. But so are we. For 4 millennia, we've evolved our technology, our bodies, and our understanding of the universe. We've prepared weapons specifically designed to counter their adaptation. Most importantly, we've developed the means to trace them back to their source. You plan to attack directly? Kolvak asked, incredulous. We plan to end this, Rise replied, her eyes hard with determination. Not just for now, but permanently. The harvesters aren't natural predators. They're tools in a cosmic experiment we never consented to. It's time to meet the experimenters. As if on cue, alarms sounded throughout the facility. A human officer approached Rise, speaking rapidly. Admiral, Harvester fleet detected at the edge of the Procyon system. Their trajectory suggests they've detected our awakening. Rise nodded, unsurprised. They remember us. Good. She turned to Ilara and her crew. The Concordat delegation will arrive soon. Until then, would you care to see what humanity has become in our long absence? Ilara's skin pulsed with a mixture of fear and fascination. Lead the way, Admiral. As they walked deeper into the facility, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to change forever. Humanity hadn't abandoned the galaxy in its time of need. They had been preparing for this moment for 4,000 years. And now they had returned. Defiance and ascension. The Concordat delegation arrived amid a flurry of diplomatic protocols that felt absurdly inadequate for the situation. 12 representatives from the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy stood in Earth's Grand Assembly, a cavernous space whose ceiling displayed a real-time view of the battle unfolding at Procyon. High Chancellor Vexmore of the Concordat Council, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate mechanical body, addressed Admiral Reyes directly. Your message claimed you have been preparing for the Harvester's return. Yet you didn't warn us when they first appeared 6 months ago. Timing was critical, Reyes replied, her posture relaxed but commanding. We needed to observe their initial patterns, confirm they matched our projections. Billions have died while you watched, hissed Representative Slith of the Draconian hegemony. Dr. Wright stepped forward. And trillions more would die if we revealed ourselves prematurely. The entity controlling the harvesters has been manipulating galactic evolution for millions of years. It learns, adapts. If we had shown our hand too early, it would have altered its approach. On the ceiling display, the battle at Procyon intensified. A harvester fleet, massive organic ships that seemed to bend reality around them, engaged with human vessels half their size. But the human ships moved with impossible precision, their weapons creating effects that defied conventional physics. By the 11 moons, whispered Representative Calder of the Arcturine Combine, what are we seeing? Quantum phase weaponry, explained a human scientist nearby. Attacks that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The harvesters can't adapt to principles that contradict their fundamental nature. As they watched, the human fleet executed a maneuver that seemed choreographed to the millisecond. Ships phased through space, appearing inside the harvester formation. Energy weapons fired from multiple vessels converged on specific points of the harvester ships, causing cascading failures rather than simple damage. You've been fighting them for thousands of years in simulation, Commander Ilara Voss realized aloud. You know exactly how they'll respond. Admiral Reyes nodded. Every engagement, every tactic, every weapon. We've tested millions of iterations. What you're seeing is the culmination of 4,000 years of preparation. The largest harvester vessel, a behemoth that dwarfed all others, began to adapt. Its surface rippled, incorporating aspects of human technology into its form. Crude quantum fields flickered around it as it attempted to match humanity's dimensional warfare. High Chancellor Vexmore's energy form pulsed with concern. They're adapting already. Let them, Reyes said, a grim smile playing across her face. Each adaptation, each evolution, they leave quantum signatures we can trace. The more they fight us, the closer we get to finding their creators. You speak of creators, Ilara said. What exactly controls the harvesters? Dr. Wright activated a holographic display in the center of the assembly. It showed a complex pattern that shifted and evolved continuously. We call it the architect, he explained. An intelligence that has been guiding galactic evolution for millions of years. It creates extinction events at regular intervals, eliminating species that don't meet its criteria and allowing others to evolve from the survivors. To what end? Asked Representative Kaldar. That, said Admiral Rice, is what we intend to discover. The display shifted to show a new development in the battle. Human soldiers in quantum-enhanced armor were teleporting directly onto harvester vessels, planting devices that turned the creature's adaptive nature against them. Reality itself seemed to warp as human weapons struck with the precision of thousands of years of simulation and planning. Your technology, Vexmore observed. It should be impossible. 4 millennia focused on a single goal creates many impossibilities, Rise replied. But technology alone isn't enough. The architect adapts too quickly. We needed to become something it couldn't predict. And what is that? Ilara asked. For the first time, Rice hesitated. Then she nodded to Dr. Wright, who touched a control on his wrist. The floor beneath them became transparent, revealing a vast chamber extending kilometers below. Within it stood thousands of stasis pods, each containing a human figure, but not entirely human anymore. Evolution by design, Wright explained. Controlled, directed transformation of our species. Each generation built upon the last, incorporating both biological and technological enhancements. You've been evolving yourselves. Slith recoiled slightly. Not just our bodies, Rice said quietly. Our minds, our perception of reality itself. Before anyone could respond, an alarm sounded. On the display above, the battle at Procyon had taken a turn. The harvesters had succeeded in adapting to some of the human weapons. Their largest vessel was now generating a gravity well that threatened to collapse the star itself. They're becoming desperate, Rise observed. They've never encountered something they couldn't eventually overcome. She touched her neural interface. All units, execute phase Omega. Find the thread. The human ships at Procyon suddenly changed tactics. Rather than destroying the harvesters outright, they began a complex pattern of attacks that seemed designed to provoke specific adaptations. Each time a harvester vessel changed, specialized drones swarmed it, collecting data rather than inflicting damage. What are you doing? Demanded Vexmore. Following the signal home, Rise replied. Every adaptation the harvesters make comes from somewhere. Instructions from the architect. We're forcing them to request new solutions, creating a communication channel we can trace. On the display, the battle reached a crescendo. The human vessels suddenly withdrew to a specific formation, creating a geometric pattern in space. The harvesters, sensing advantage, surged forward, directly into a trap. Quantum fields activated between the human ships, creating a dimensional pocket that enveloped the entire harvester fleet. Within this pocket, space itself seemed to fold, collapsing around the enemy vessels, but leaving a single channel open, a tunnel through dimensions that shouldn't exist. There, Dr. Wright said, pointing to a specific readout. We have it. The architect's location. The assembly erupted in voices, but Admiral Rise raised a hand for silence. This is what we've waited 4,000 years for. A chance to end this cycle permanently. You intend to attack this, architect. Vexmore's mechanical body shifted uneasily. If it has the power you describe. We don't intend to attack, Rise interrupted. We intend to communicate. To understand why it believes this cruel experiment is necessary. And yes, if needed, to stop it permanently. She gestured, and the display changed to show a massive vessel unlike any other in the human fleet. Where their warships were sleek and precise, this craft was an impossible geometry of overlapping dimensions, its very existence seeming to bend reality around it. The Prometheus, Rise said. Our final answer to the question the architect has been asking. The culmination of everything humanity has become. And if communication fails, Ilara asked quietly. Rise met her gaze. Then we show it that creation can defend itself, that the experiment is over. High Chancellor Vexmore's energy form pulsed rapidly. The Concordat must discuss this. Such action could have consequences beyond what any of us can predict. With respect, Chancellor, Captain Chen said, stepping forward, discussion is a luxury the galaxy no longer has. The Harvesters have already destroyed 17 civilizations in this cycle. They won't stop until either they're eliminated or the Architect calls them home. We're not asking permission, Rise added, her voice gentle but firm. Humanity has prepared for this moment for 4 millennia. We will act. But we would prefer to act with the Concordat's support rather than alone. The assembly fell silent, the weight of the moment palpable. It was Representative Kaldar who finally spoke. For 6 months, we've watched worlds burn. We've thrown everything we have against the Harvesters, only to see them grow stronger. If humanity has found a way to end this permanently, he looked at his fellow representatives. I say we join them. One by one, the representatives nodded their agreement. Even Vexmore's energy form settled into a pattern of reluctant acceptance. What do you need from us? The High Chancellor asked. Your fleets to protect evacuated populations, Rise replied, and representatives to join us on the Prometheus. Whatever we find at the end of that dimensional tunnel, the galaxy should face it together. 3 days later, Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the Prometheus alongside Admiral Rise. Representatives from 7 major civilizations had joined them, including High Chancellor Vexmore. The massive vessel hummed with energy as it prepared to enter the dimensional tunnel created during the battle at Procyon. Are you afraid? Ilara asked quietly, her bioluminescence dimmed to match the bridge lighting. Rise smiled, the expression softening her features. Of course, we've spent 4,000 years preparing for this moment, but we're still reaching into the unknown. Yet you seem so certain. Not of success, Rise clarified, but of necessity. Some questions must be answered, regardless of the cost. Around them, the human crew moved with practiced precision, each action the result of countless simulations. Through viewports, they could see the fleet gathered to protect the Prometheus during its journey. Ships from every major civilization in the galaxy, united by a common purpose. Final preparations complete, Admiral, Captain Chen reported. Dimensional coordinates locked. The tunnel is stable. Rise nodded. Begin transition. As the Prometheus moved toward the shimmering tear in reality, Ilara felt a strange sense of peace. Whatever awaited them beyond that threshold, be it communication or confrontation, the galaxy faced it together. Humanity had returned from their long silence, not as conquerors or refugees, but as guardians. They had spent 4 millennia becoming something the Architect couldn't predict, a species that refused to be part of someone else's experiment, that insisted on writing its own destiny. The dimensional tunnel engulfed the Prometheus in swirling energy. Through the chaos of transition, Ilara saw Admiral Rise stand tall, her expression set with determination. 4,000 years of preparation had led to this moment. It was time to meet the Architect.